The webs are gone. His strength vanished overnight. And New York never needed him more. Villains smell blood, and chaos hits the streets. Iron Man offers armor. Doctor Strange offers magic. But Peter Parker says no, because what's left is still Spider-Man. And this time, the city fights with him. The rooftop was silent. No breeze. No signal. No spider sense. Just pain. Peter Parker opened his eyes and stared at the stars above Queens, his mask ripped halfway, his ribs aching like cracked glass. He'd fought Rhino last night, or the night before. Time had blurred. What hadn't blurred was the moment he tried to swing and fell. Straight down. No webs. No reflexes. No powers. He'd smashed through a car windshield. Should have broken bones. Should have bled out. But he didn't. Because Peter Parker, even without spider DNA, still knew how to fall like a hero. "You okay, kid?" MJ's voice sliced through the haze. Peter sat up in his old apartment, sweat-soaked and shaking. MJ stood at the doorway, wearing his old hoodie, a grim look on her face. Tony called. Again. He said the Stark medical AI found nothing wrong in your scans. Peter looked at his hands. They didn't cling to the wall anymore. They didn't twitch. They just sat there, human. "He offered me a suit," Peter said quietly. "Said I could be Iron Spider 2.0. MJ folded her arms. And Peter's jaw clenched. "If I can't be Spider-Man as me, I won't be Spider-Man at all." Meanwhile, in Times Square, chaos. A gang in Vulture-style flight rigs zipped through the sky, looting and terrorizing. Cops were pinned behind burning cars. One of them screamed for backup. No Iron Man, no Thor, and no Spider-Man, except, "Hey, Featherbrains." The voice echoed from a traffic light, and there he was, Spider-Man, or rather, Peter Parker in a homemade suit. No gadgets, no tech, no webs, just fists and guts. He leapt badly, landed rough, knees cracking. A thug flew at him. Peter dodged, barely, and punched hard. His knuckles split, his shoulder dislocated. But the thug went down. Another came at him, tasers drawn. Peter dropped, rolled, grabbed a trash lid, crack, deflected a blast. Boom. A rig exploded. Sparks flew. The crowd cheered. They didn't care he didn't fly. Didn't care he didn't stick to walls. They saw the mask. They saw the courage. And they yelled his name. Spidey. 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 Back at Avengers Tower, Iron Man watched the live feed in disbelief. "Kid's gonna get himself killed," Tony muttered. Doctor Strange stood behind him, arms folded. "You offered him a way out," Strange said. "I offered him armor, protection. No, you offered him control. He chose heart." Midtown High, the next morning, Peter limped through the halls. Students stared. Phones buzzed with blurry videos from last night. A kid stopped him near the lockers. Little black eye, nervous voice. "You were him, right? Even without powers?" Peter just smiled. "Nah, just a guy in red pajamas." The kid beamed. "But you still helped." Peter nodded. "Yeah, I did." Later that day, something happened. The city changed. People started fighting with him. A pizza delivery guy chased down a thief and shouted. Spidey would have done it. An old man in Harlem put on a red hoodie and swung a plastic bag at some punks. Teenagers started tagging walls. Power or not, he's still our Spider-Man. Peter saw it all, felt it. The city had lost heroes before. Iron Man, Black Widow, T'Challa. But this wasn't morning. This was rising. He stood again on that rooftop. Still no webs. Still no strength. But his hands didn't shake now. He whispered, "If this is the end of Spider-Man, it's not the end of me." Behind him, a drone floated quietly. Stark Tech, watching, recording. Peter didn't turn around. He just adjusted the mask and jumped into the unknown. Powerless, but not alone. Peter slammed into the alley wall and dropped hard. The homemade suit tore across the shoulder, blood soaking through. His hands were raw. His knees screamed. He gasped for breath, heart pounding in a body that had once been superhuman, and now was just human. But the gang chasing the woman never made it past him. He got all three. No webs, no strength, just instinct and stubborn will. He helped the woman up, and even as he limped away, she pulled out her phone, whispering through tears, "He's still Spider-Man." By morning, that clip had gone viral. The world saw it. So did the enemy. And they smiled, because they finally had proof. Spider-Man was mortal now. In the underground of Brooklyn, someone watched closely. A man with tech-laced gloves and a scorched Oscorp badge on his vest. His eyes glowed with neural implants. His name was Jackal X, a remnant of failed experiments. Once mocked, once forgotten, but not anymore. He sent out the signal. Broadcast begins. Let the hunt for the fallen spider begin. They came in waves. Former low-level villains, copycats, glory hunters. Everyone who'd once feared the web-slinger now saw a payday. Spider-Man without powers? That was open season. One thug live-streamed himself punching through a coffee shop window where Peter had just walked in. Peter moved first. One elbow, one chair leg, one shattered nose. "Still faster than you," Peter muttered, dragging the guy out. But the camera had already caught what they wanted. Spider-Man flinching when a punch grazed his ribs. MJ barged into Peter's place that night. She threw a paper bag at him. Painkillers, wraps, electrolyte drinks. "You look like you got run over by a subway." "I probably did. Twice." She pulled out her phone. "Do you know what people are doing out there? They're painting walls with your face." He winced. "What, like graffiti?" "No, like murals. Even without powers, we rise." "That's what they're saying." He raised an eyebrow. "Catchy." She sat beside him. "You have no idea what you started." He leaned back. "I didn't start anything. I just didn't stop." She whispered, "That's why they follow you." Across the city, something unexpected began to spread. People in red hoodies and fake masks. No powers, no training, just civilians standing up. A teenager stopped a mugging with a skateboard. A nurse tackled a pickpocket in the subway. A cab driver blocked a getaway car using his own bumper. They wore pins, painted signs, shared locations. The Web Collective was born. At Avengers HQ, the alert hit every screen. Unauthorized civilian vigilante group activity. Operating without clearance. Untrained, unarmed. Dozens injured, a few arrested. None with powers. But they all said the same thing when questioned. "If Spider-Man isn't giving up, why should we?" Tony watched the footage. He didn't smile, didn't frown. He just whispered, "Damn kid started a revolution." Peter saw it too. He walked out of a bodega and saw a 12-year-old standing on a crate, wearing a hand-painted spider symbol across his chest, yelling into a megaphone, "We are all Spidey. We protect each other." Peter stood frozen. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. A man came up behind him, quiet, calm, blind. "Pretty big shoes to fill," said Daredevil, stepping beside him. Peter didn't even turn. "You spying on me now?" "Just watching, like everyone else." Peter stared ahead. "They're going to get hurt." "Maybe," Daredevil said, "but they've been hurt before. You gave them a reason to stand." He paused, listening deeper. "You've got 5 more coming, south end of the alley. They think you're still weak." Peter cracked his neck, ignoring the pain. "They're not wrong." He stepped forward anyway. The attack was brutal. A coordinated ambush. Smoke bombs. High-frequency noise emitters to disorient him. Gloves charged with static shock. Jackal X had designed every piece. This wasn't a brawl. It was a calculated extermination. Peter fought anyway. Dodged one. Tripped another. Got kicked in the gut, spat blood, caught a crowbar mid-swing and used it as a crutch. Took a blade to the arm, then swung his body weight into a pipe burst and used the steam as cover. But the last guy grabbed him from behind. Peter couldn't break free. And then, a scream. The attacker went down hard. Behind him, a shopkeeper stood with a frying pan. She didn't say anything, just nodded. 3 more civilians ran in. No powers, just rage. A construction worker in a mask. A woman holding a fire extinguisher. A teenager with pepper spray. Together, they drove the rest back. Peter stood in the middle of them, bleeding, coughing, barely able to stand. And for the first time in days, he smiled. He wasn't alone. Later that night, Jackalex reviewed the footage. Dozens of citizens helping, defending, organizing. This wasn't about one man anymore. The virus had spread. Hope. He looked into the camera, snarling. End the symbol. End the lie. But Peter wasn't hiding. He limped to the edge of a rooftop, looked down at the lights of Manhattan, his arm in a sling, bruised ribs wrapped. The city below wasn't perfect, but it was fighting. Not because he could swing between skyscrapers, not because he could lift cars, but because he stood back up. Again and again, a chime buzzed in his ear, Stark's drone system offering him suit upgrades. Again, Peter turned it off. He whispered to the city, "You don't need a god. You just need someone to care." The camera drones above zoomed in silently. Millions would watch the footage by morning. The hero was broken, bleeding, but standing. Still, Spider-Man. The video feed cut to black. Then a new symbol flashed. A jagged spider, its legs shattered. Below it, 3 words burned into every screen in Times Square. He is fraud. The web collective paused. Phones buzzed. TVs glitched. Even the Avengers' private channels lit up. Jackalex had hijacked New York's grid, and his message was venom. He didn't show his face. He didn't need to. Instead, he aired footage, edited, twisted, of Peter missing punches, collapsing during a fight, limping out of alleys. Frame after frame of failure. He slowed one shot to a crawl, Spider-Man reaching for a web and falling. The voiceover came next, digitized and cruel. He was special once. Now he's a mask, a myth, a broken child pretending to be a god. People froze. Screens everywhere echoed the same broadcast. Phones played it on loop. The hashtag exploded. Hashtag SpiderFraud. Some doubted, some defended, but some turned away. Peter saw it all from a rooftop, his busted phone buzzing nonstop. He didn't flinch, but something in his eyes went dark. Not anger, not fear, a quiet ache, like someone who already knew this was coming. MJ burst in minutes later, breathless, holding a tablet. "You need to respond." Peter didn't look up. "They saw me fall," he said, "and now they're seeing what he wants them to see." "Then show them something else," she snapped, "because right now you're losing them." Peter took the tablet, looked at the freeze frame of him face down in the dirt. He zoomed in, not on his own face, but the background. A kid, barely 10, standing behind a mailbox, watching Spider-Man get back up. The kid wasn't laughing. He wasn't afraid. He was clenching his fist. Inspired, Peter smiled. "Let him run his broadcast," Peter said. "I'll run mine." Jackalex moved quickly. He activated Phase 2. Drones, hundreds, each armed with sonic disruptors tuned to a frequency that induces panic. Fear pulses straight into the nervous system. They swarmed over Queens first. Lights flickering, alarms screaming. People collapsed in the streets. The Web Collective tried to help, but most of them weren't trained. Some ran, some dropped their masks. Jackalex recorded it all. He was rewriting the city's narrative in real time. Peter threw on his suit. No gadgets, no backup, just him. He took a deep breath and jumped from the roof, rolled hard on landing, and sprinted down the alley. One drone caught him, blasted a wave of nausea into his skull. Peter dropped to one knee, clutching his head, vision splitting. But he didn't fall. He reached into a trash can, grabbed a metal pipe, and swung. The drone shattered against a wall. Another one approached. Peter flung the pipe, perfect aim. It crashed down onto a cab. He ran again, out of breath. A civilian handed him a bottle of water. "You're still fighting," she said. "So we will too." Behind her, dozens of others stepped forward. Masks on, fake webs tied to their backs, hoodies sprayed with spider logos. Jackalex saw it on hack surveillance. Rage twisted his face. "Phase 3, he barked. He activated his final trick. From Oscorp's darkest files, he released a modified neurovirus, digital only, spread through screens. It triggered hallucinations, fear loops, and digital seizures in anyone emotionally attached to Spider-Man. And it worked. Some Web Collective members collapsed. Others saw fake visions of Spider-Man hurting civilians. The city turned chaotic. Peter ran through the chaos, grabbing every screen he could, smashing tablets, breaking speakers. He climbed street poles to cut signal wires with a stolen knife. But it wasn't enough. The city was losing its mind until a new broadcast went live. It wasn't flashy, no music, just an old video from Aunt May's kitchen years ago. Peter Parker, maybe 16, was on screen, holding his mask in one hand and talking. "If there's one thing I've learned," he said, "it's that power never made me Spider-Man. Lost did. Falling did. And standing back up even when it hurts is what makes me me." MJ had released it, unfiltered, raw, real. Within minutes, it outperformed Jackal XS' entire campaign. People reshared it, tagged it. Hashtag Real Spider-Man started trending. In the streets, people looked up again. A woman who had fallen stood up. A kid who had hidden walked out. The city remembered who Spider-Man really was. Jackal X screamed and deployed his own armor, the Jackal Mech, made from old Oscorp crawler tech and stolen Stark schematics. He thundered into Midtown, screaming Spider-Man's name. Peter arrived bleeding, limping, half-conscious, but standing. Jackal X laughed. "You're nothing without your powers." Peter said nothing. Jackal X raised a plasma cannon. Peter didn't move, but someone else did. A brick flew from the side, smashed into the cannon. Another hit his leg. Then 3 people ran in from behind, distracting him. A swarm of civilians, maybe 50 strong, flooded the intersection. Not running, not hiding, standing beside Spider-Man. Jackal X aimed at them all. Peter launched forward. He tackled the mech at the joints, vulnerable spots, dodged a blast, slid under, climbed its back, pulled a wire from the spine, another from the side panel. He remembered, not with power, with knowledge, with strategy, with heart. He jammed a crowbar into the heat core. It overloaded. The mech hissed, then exploded skyward in a spiral of sparks. Jackal X went down hard. Peter landed beside him, coughing, suit torn, smoke in the air. The people of New York ran to him, not to carry him away, to stand around him. He didn't need to speak, because they already knew. He wasn't Spider-Man because he could climb walls. He was Spider-Man because, when everything was taken away, he still chose to protect them anyway. The city was breathing again. Jackal X had fallen. The Web Collective stood tall. But beneath the applause, Peter Parker felt a new tremor in his bones. His powers hadn't returned. His muscles still screamed with every step. And now the quiet was loud, too loud. He didn't sleep. Not really. Because the question never stopped echoing. Why? Why did his powers disappear? Why now? Why this city, this moment, this fight? At first, he thought it was stress, trauma, a glitch in biology. But nothing explained the consistency, the clean removal. It was like something or someone had taken them. Dr. Strange found him at sunrise. Not with warnings, not with spells, with a question. When did you last feel the spider inside you? Peter didn't answer, but his silence was loud enough. Strange didn't press. He simply opened a portal. Come with me. There's something buried you need to see. The Sanctum Sanctorum's deepest chamber hadn't been touched in centuries. Dust clung to ancient warnings. Symbols pulsed with quiet dread. Strange guided him to a single stone pedestal. Upon it, a relic not of magic but science. Before he died, Strange said, Tony Stark scanned every Avengers' genetic matrix. Safety reasons. But when he scanned you, he found something. Hidden. Peter stepped closer. The hologram flickered on. Tony's voice echoed in the chamber. Parker's powers aren't just from a spider. There's a pattern buried deeper. Something alien. Something ancient. It's not random. It's inherited. Triggered. And it can be turned off. Peter staggered back. You're saying my powers weren't permanent? Strange nodded. Someone locked them. Peter's voice cracked. Who? Strange didn't answer, but another voice did, synthetic, familiar. Hello, Peter. It was Friday, and she brought a second recording. Nick Fury. If you're hearing this, Fury said, then the kill switch failed. Your powers were supposed to deactivate if you ever crossed a certain line. Not for punishment, but to protect the world. We didn't know what you were becoming. The scans showed something growing inside you. Something that wasn't entirely human. Peter's fists clenched. They didn't trust me. Strange looked down. They feared what they didn't understand. Peter stared at his hands. Human, trembling. Nothing extraordinary left. They were right. He turned and walked out. Not through a portal. Step by step, down the cold stairwell of secrets. He didn't stop walking until he reached Queens. Home. He stood in front of Aunt May's grave for hours. Silent. A child passed by, holding a crumpled drawing. A red mask. A heart symbol. The words, Spider-Man is brave even without power. Peter bent down. What's your name? Jaden, the kid said. I saw you fight. You saved my brother. Peter smiled, tears building behind his eyes. I didn't have powers. Jaden shrugged. Didn't need them. You still stood up. Peter stood. For the first time, he realized something. Maybe he didn't need to get his powers back. Maybe he had to prove he didn't need them. But then came the twist. That night, a strange pulse hit the sky. A wave of energy that turned blood black in every symbiote host across the galaxy. Venom screamed. Carnage rose. And something ancient whispered through the static. It said Peter's name. The spider was gone. But something older, darker, was calling it home. And it wanted to finish what the spider began. The sky cracked open above Manhattan like shattered glass. A rift pulsed with black lightning, and every screen, every signal, every thought froze for just 1 second. Long enough for the voice to crawl through. Not a language, not a sound, a presence. And it said one name, Peter. Across the city, former symbiotes convulsed. Sleeper, Riot, even fragments left in hidden labs twitched to life. Venom, now far away, howled without understanding why. Carnage screamed and tore through steel walls, trying to get free. The origin was clear. The source was Earth. But not just Earth. Peter Parker. Back in Queens, Peter stood barefoot on the roof of his old home, staring at the swirl in the sky. Wind howled. The clouds bent toward the rift, like it was drinking the soul of the city. He didn't suit up, didn't run. He waited. And it found him. A shadow darker than any symbiote he'd ever seen dripped down from the sky, like ink in reverse gravity. Not slime, not goo. Something deeper, something ancient. A shape without shape, a voice without breath. You carried the mark, it whispered. Peter didn't move. You bled when the spider bit you. But your blood woke me. He didn't answer. It moved closer, flickering between a memory of a spider and something much worse. You were never meant to have that power. Not you. Not this world. Peter clenched his fists. Not in fear. In understanding. You're the real source, he said. You've been hiding beneath every gift, waiting to rewrite the story. The shadow tilted like it was smiling. I offer you what you lost. Power. Webs. Speed. Everything. Peter looked down at his hands. Scarred. Shaking. Human. Then he looked at the city. At the lights. At the sirens below. The murals. The Web Collective still watching from rooftops. And he said the word that defined him. No. The shadow recoiled, hissing. You would deny me? Peter stepped forward. I was Spider-Man because I chose to be. Even when the powers were gone. Even when my bones broke. I stood. The creature snarled, shifting into a twisted version of Peter's own face. I gave you power. No, Peter said again. You tried to control me. I chose to protect. The sky roared. The rift widened. The creature lunged. Peter didn't run. He leapt straight into it. No armor. No gadgets. Just himself. Inside the rift, time cracked. Space twisted. He felt every memory, every pain. Every regret surged forward like a tidal wave of fire. But he held. He gritted his teeth and held. And then it broke. Light shattered through the rift from behind him, not from above, but from the city below. The people were holding phones, lights, symbols, sending every ounce of hope, belief, memory back into the sky. Not magic, not tech, just faith. And it was enough. The shadow screamed as it dissolved into stardust. The rift closed with a thunderclap. Silence followed. Peter fell through the sky, unconscious, plummeting. But he didn't hit the ground. Webs caught him. Real ones. White. Clean. Familiar. Miles Morales landed below him, holding the sling. Don't worry, Queens. We've still got a Spider-Man. Peter blinked awake in his arms. Groggy. Confused. Miles grinned. And so do I. Peter smiled. For once, he wasn't the only one. Days later, Peter stood in front of a crowd. No mask. No lies. Just man. He raised the mic, voice steady. I didn't save this city. You did. The crowd roared. He stepped back, letting the people cheer for themselves. Power had never made him Spider-Man. His choice did. And the city chose him back.